So when I was younger, I lived in a not so nice neighborhood. But my family, we were happy there. And we had these neighbors who we were really close to. And unfortunately, their youngest son would physically abuse me a lot. And so I told my parents this, and my parents would always go to his parents and explain what was going on. And they would always say that they were going to talk to him about it, or if they saw anything, they would stop it right away. But it just never happened. And then because it was happening so frequently, I just kind of stopped bringing it up to my parents, and I stopped talking about it because I was very young. So I thought, oh, well, this is how it is. And the whole boys will be boys quote was brought up time and time again by his parents. So I thought, oh, this is normal, this is fine. And then while I was growing up and getting older, near the end of elementary school, I realized that I was irrationally scared of the boys in my class, and I was very scared of adult male figures, but it was never adult female figures. So, and again, I just thought, oh, well, I'm younger and they're a different gender identity than I am, so maybe that's why. But also at around this age, I started to notice that I would have certain, what my parents at the time called tics, because we didn't know that I had OCD, but I would hear something on the TV and I didn't like how they said it, so I would whisper it to myself the way that I thought it should be said, and then I would whisper it over and over until it sounded right to me. And my poor brother and sister would get so annoyed with me because they're just trying to watch their TV show and I'm over here talking. Another thing that I would do was I would do this specifically with my hands, and sometimes I still tend to do this, and it was when I was really nervous, or when I was in a social situation that I didn't like, or more specifically, when I was around a lot of my male classmates, I'd start rubbing my hands, but not because it was an anxious tic. It was more because I had this urge to my hands have to feel like this. They have to feel this certain way. And to this day, I cannot describe how I wanted my hands to feel. And this is still a compulsion that I do today. And I still can't describe why I do it or why I want my hands to feel a certain way. I also would tap certain rhythms, and if I messed up on the rhythm, I'd have to start all over and do it again. And it would go on and on and on. And now at the age that I'm at, I have to do the exact same rhythm from when I was younger a very excessive amount of times if I'm having an OCD compulsion. When I entered middle school is kind of when the eating started to go out of control, because my obsessive compulsive disorder kind of took over my brain at that point, because I didn't know that I had it, and I wasn't being vocal with my parents about my mental health because I was very young and I didn't know that anything was, I don't want to say wrong with me, but I didn't know that anything was different about my brain. So I decided that if I can't control other things around me, and I can't control what someone did to me in the past, then I'm gonna control things as little as what I eat. And it started off as me just cutting out unhealthy foods, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna choose to be healthy. This is a choice I'm gonna make and something that I can control. So I started eating healthy, which was good for a long time. But then I started to have body image issues, and I started to eat less and less and less, to the point where I was irrationally afraid of unhealthy food. And it wasn't unhealthy food such as McDonald's and fast food stuff. It was pretzels with salt on it I would find unhealthy because it has salt, so I can't eat that. And it eventually developed into orthorexia, which is an eating disorder that not a lot of people know about. It's basically an obsession with eating clean, pure, healthy food, or what the person with the disorder sees as clean, pure, healthy food. And because of that, I had really weird eating habits. I would eat as little as I possibly could on the clean foods, and then it got to a point where my body couldn't handle it anymore, and I would binge, which is just taking in an excessive amount of food. Like I was eating like 2 days worth of calories in one sitting, and then I would feel ashamed and super guilty, which eventually led to bulimia when I was a little older. Every time I would binge and eat too much food, I would make myself sick and I would make myself throw it up. And as a vocalist and as someone who works with kids, that was a huge problem, because not only was I getting physically sick from not getting any nutrients, it was affecting my voice and it was affecting my throat. And I ended up not being able to finish one of my final performances in school because I physically couldn't sing. My throat was too sore to do so. And when I got into high school mainly is when everything started hitting me like a ton of bricks. I started remembering what happened to me when I was little and remembered the physical abuse and all of that. And I started becoming very upset and isolated, and I wasn't reaching out to make new friends because I was having a lot of trouble trusting people. So I was really alone for the first part of high school. But then when I found music and I found my, I don't want to say clique, but I found my group of people that I wanted to hang out with, and that was significantly helpful and impactful, and it's what made me want to go into music, because I saw music as my escape from my mental illnesses. Unfortunately, in high school and later on in college, I endured it was like a significant amount of trauma, more trauma than the average person will usually go through. I was in an abusive friendship for a very long time, and it was very hard for me to get out of it. And I had a lot of people turn against me when I decided to back off and leave the friendship, because this person would say anything and do anything to get them to believe that I was a bad person. And because, I was shy and I didn't really trust people, it was hard for me to reach out and find new friends. So that's when the eating got worse, the OCD got worse. And then eventually in college, I had really serious things happen with an abusive living situation and an abusive relationship. And because of that, that's when my PTSD really started kicking in and developing, and I was remembering things that happened to me when I was a child, on top of the abuse that I endured in my own home and the abuse that I endured in a relationship that I was in. And I kind of broke down, and I ended up getting hospitalized for my eating because that's how I coped with all of it. And I was in the hospital for a while, and it was hard because all they told me was, oh, just eat and you'll be fine. All you gotta do is eat. And well, duh, yeah, but it was really hard for me and it was discouraging, and I was like, okay, but like, what do I do? How do I eat? Like, what am I supposed to do? And that's when I went to the counseling center, and I was finally like, okay, let me give this a try. And it really worked for me, and I'm seeing someone right now who is putting me through a 12-step program, and I'm kind of thriving right now, if I'm gonna be totally honest. I cut a lot of negative people out of my life. I'm no longer in an abusive relationship, and I have legal protection against one of my abusers, which is awesome. And I just have so many people on my side right now, and who are willing to listen to me and who are willing to protect me and take care of me, especially my family, who just the other day came up to visit me because they knew that I was going through something. And my friend who came halfway to Potsdam, we met halfway, and he took me to his university because I had a panic attack that was so bad due to someone getting aggressive that he took me in, and he left school at 1 a.m. to come and get me. So just things like that show me that, I'm not alone, and that there are people that care. And I am very confident in the fact that I will fully recover from my eating problems, and that I will learn to live with my OCD and combat it a little better. And while I'm just starting to learn about my post-traumatic stress disorder and how to cope with that, I'm trying to be really optimistic about it. I'm trying new techniques that my therapist has given me, and they seem to be working. The nightmares that I'm having are far less frequent, and yeah, I'm hopeful that things are gonna get better for me, and because history has shown that they have. And yeah, I'm in a very happy place right now, actually. Like, I feel really good right now. Sick.